All right, what's up, everybody? Hey, on today's call, we are going to be doing a what's up, everybody? I'm back with you. Hey, I don't know what's going on with this software, but it has been freezing and glitching on us. So hopefully this live feed stays live for us and you guys don't lose me like you did on Monday. But we're going to do a deep dive into the sales presentation and the mistakes that are costing you a lot of money. And I'm going to dive into this with you guys. So make sure that if you're a brand new agent, heck, even if you're an experienced agent, take notes on today's call because this is what the bread and butter is, right? For you as an agent, I'm going to make your life so much easier after today's call, make this business so simple for you to find success and to find it quickly. All right. So we're going to jump into that. But before I do that, I want to give just some gratitude for God and what he has allowed us to accomplish as an agency. Guys, so many of you are running to new heights this month. And I love seeing it. I love the opportunities that he's created for you, for us as a company. I love what he's doing here at FFA to be able to give back and to bless other people. We've got a huge mission this year, all right, every single month to make a contribution to a charity. If you're new here watching us, the top agent every single month will get to pick which foundation or which charity we give to. That was something we started back in February, right? As we were thinking of how can we make this year different. And so far, we've been able to make a huge impact. And so many big things are happening. This is really just a movement. And for all of you that are teamed up with us, you're a part of that. And so super grateful for you, super grateful for today and just the future of the company and what God's doing in it. So just so many big things coming. But grateful for you guys for tuning in. And let's give a big shout out to some agents that are having a big week. Go to the agency chat, drop where you're at so far for Monday and Tuesday. But check it out. We got Jenna. She's already over 3K. We got Sam over 2,600 already. We have Corey over 2,800. We had Becca over 7K. I think she had a 7K day yesterday, plus some AP on Monday. So big shout out to her. What a huge day. That's what people run for in a week, right? She's already over 7,400 on the week. Big shout out to Jenny Ivy. Jenny's, check this out. She's already helped 7 people in 2 days as she's sitting over 4K. Dylan Alderson over 3,300 for him. Stephanie's already got 6 applications in for this week as she's over 1,500. Ivy's over 1,500. Aaron's over 4,500. Keep them going, guys. I know so many of you guys are off to just have a huge week. Want to give you a big shout out. But let's dive into the sales presentation. All right. Today's call is going to be training intense for you. So if you're an agent who likes taking notes, you like being a student, this is the call that you're going to want to be on because I promise you, you're making these mistakes and you might not even realize it. And I'm sharing this with you because these are mistakes that I've made in the past. They're mistakes that as I've been training agents, I see it's a common trend. Okay. And if you can perfect how you present to people, you're going to make this job so much easier for yourself. You're going to have thousands of dollars of production on the board come a Wednesday morning, right? Just through Monday and Tuesday. Like you've seen so many agents posting in there right now. So let's dive into this. Hopefully this doesn't freeze, guys. But as I share my screen with you, if you lose me, I'll come right back on. It seems to pause out, for like 30 seconds. So guys, first up and first and foremost, the number one mistake that you may be making is not actually using the presentation in the first place. Okay. This presentation is a system, it's a tool. All right. And not using it is like trying to go build a house without having an air nailer, right? Or without having a saw. You can't do it. Okay. So the first mistake is not using it and not using it the right way. Guys, for the longest time, I would do my presentation, but I wouldn't be showing the client the presentation, right? I would just be talking with them. That's your first mistake. If you haven't printed this thing out, put it in a binder, put it in a portfolio, get the pages laminated, go to Staples, Office Depot, right? Guys, you can upload this PDF to Staples. They'll put it in a calendar book for you. It's really cool. That's the first step. People do not listen to what you're saying. They're looking, okay? A lot of people are visual learners. And check it out. If you don't have this visible for you and your client to work through together, all right, even if you're doing virtual sales, guys, you can pull this PDF up like I did right here and go through it with your client. If you're not doing that, you're putting all of the attention on yourself. And guys, just the way the world is, some people might like you, some people might not. Some people might be judging what you're wearing, right? They might be judging me. I've got tattoos on my arms. I don't want the attention on me when I'm selling. I want the attention on this booklet as we work through it together. When you present the booklet, okay, in a visual format, what it does is it puts you and your potential client on the same team, and you're attacking the presentation together. If you're not doing that, it's you versus your client and you're trying to negotiate, right? So the very first mistake I see agents make is they don't have this thing printed out. They don't have it where you can flip through it with your client. I promise you, clients love looking at stuff. They love seeing the presentation. It goes very, very far. So that's number one, guys, is not having this thing printed out to where your client can see it. Let's talk about number two. All right. Now, you guys know this is the first page, right? This is the opening page of the presentation. You want your client to see this, right? You want them to see the picture of the family. It's a psychological thing that shows your client what you're there to do without you even having to tell them what you're there to do. So when I'm sitting with a client, I'm gonna have this, sitting on the table when I'm connecting with them, small talking, 5 to 10 minutes, right? Talking about the weather, talking about their family, right? You go through that whole process, right? That's first, but I'm going to have this sitting out there so they can see it. Now let's talk about the next slide. Guys, this slide right here, believe it or not, is actually one of the most important slides in your presentation. It's the fastest slide to go over, but it's one that if you're skipping this, you are shooting yourself down so much. All right, guys, I learned this this slide and how to say it, how to present it by doing collectively, like between me, Alicia, all the agents that built this presentation with us, thousands of sales presentations of figuring out what works. And one very simple thing that works and makes your job so much easier is this slide. What do you say? Guys, this slide is very easy to either A, skip over it, or B, talk way too much about it, right? Like you could oversell yourself on this slide. This slide's very simple. What I want my client to know and what I want them to understand is that from this point forward, I am their licensed, trusted insurance agent. All right. Anytime they get anything in the mail, when they get telemarketed from 50 phone calls, right, every a day for Medicare, life, you name it, I want them to know they don't have to answer any of those anymore. I want them to know that when we're done meeting together, they're going to have my information. And anytime they need anything, they can just call me. That's all that this slide is for. I tell them that I am their new agent, like verbatim. That's exactly what I say. I say, Miss Betty, from this point forward, I am your licensed agent to help you with life, health, right, and annuity. So anything you need when it comes down to those, I'm now your point of contact. You'll have my information saved. I'll put it in your phone when we wrap up today. But just know that from this point forward, I'm your guy. Guys, that's how I say that in every single house. And clients love that. You're setting the tone for who you are, what you're doing, and why you're there. And if you're not telling them you're the agent, guys, I just sold them a policy without selling anything. I just told them I am their agent, right? So, and that's important. Even if I don't help this person, if I can't ethically help them with insurance at this point, when they call me, I will still answer their questions. I'm not fibbing them. From this point forward, I will always be their agent to help them, okay? If you're skipping this and you're not saying that, you're missing 99% of the sales you should be making, okay? Clients want to know that you're their person. Guys, I have we're getting ready to redo our third floor in the house, right? We're going to put up some walls. I got to get the electrical ran in it. Got to get dry, all this stuff, right? And when I was looking at doing that project, all right, I texted an electrician who's helped us out before. I texted an HVAC company who's helped me out before at a different property. And I have, right, these guys, right, these people, these girls, right, these companies, they're my go-to. I love the fact that I can text them and I know that I can trust them and they're going to come and do the job and they're not going to, charge me an outrageous amount, but it's going to be done right and they're reliable. It took me a very long time to find those trades. Just like it takes your clients a very long time to find an agent. People love having their person. And in the beginning of your presentation, you want to tell them that you're now their person. Okay. So make sure you're not skipping past this. Guys, if you open up this slide and you're like, look at all the cool carriers we work with, this is what we do, and you're selling it versus just telling them you're the agent, it's a huge mistake that you're making in every single house. All right, let's talk about the mistakes that are made on this slide. Guys, this is the slide that sells the deal, right? If this is it, after you do this slide, the policy is sold. It is closed. You are done. You can pat yourself on the back, right? Now, I know what you're thinking. How the heck in 2 slides did you sell a policy in 20 minutes? Let me dive into it with you. When you get a need, you get a sale. And so this slide is by far the number one most important slide that you as the agent should be spending the most amount of time with, whether you're selling on the phone or whether you're selling in person. This is the most important. All right. So how do I do that? It's really simple, guys. I look at my potential client and I say, hey, Miss Betty, look, I know you might not remember, why you filled this out. You filled it out a little bit ago, but most people request help for really one of 3 reasons. And guys, this is how slow I'm talking, right? I'm talking slow on this slide. Number 1, they have no current coverage and they really need help to get a plan in place. They've never known where to turn for it or how to go about getting it. Number 2 is somebody who already has coverage, right? This is where most people are at. They already have a plan, but you know how expensive things have gotten. You see the price of eggs, you see the price of gas, all right? Final expense costs are the same. They're fearful that they don't have enough and they desperately need more coverage. And then number 3 is somebody who is just good, right? You've got money in the bank, you're prepared, you've got all your stuff situated, but you just want to have a dedicated plan to pay off that burial or that cremation so that you don't have to use your savings that you're planning to leave for your kids for, or your kids don't have to come out of pocket for it. Which one of these are you? And guys, I'm going to let them look at this slide. And I don't care if I have to sit there for 5 minutes while they're thinking about it. They will always pick one. Okay. And once they pick one, you're done. You just sold the plan. They identified that they have a need. All right. And when you get that need, you get the deal. So it's simple. When I pass this slide, I'm not concerned if I'm going to close the deal or not. I already know I am. But a lot of you guys are going so fast that you're not really spending enough time and letting the client voice what their actual need is. Now, sometimes you might have to influence the need. Maybe the client really doesn't know, right? So maybe there's somebody who they don't have insurance and they say, well, I don't know, Ryan. I mean, I don't have insurance right now. Well, I'm going to dive deep with them. I'm going to say, all right, Mr. Jack, hey, you don't have it. So we could probably agree you're number one, right? Like you really want to have a plan for your loved ones so they don't have to come out of pocket. Would you agree with that? All right. Is insurance important to you? And let me ask you this, Mr. Jack, why do you not have it right now? It's usually because of pricing, or it's usually because you just you never thought about it. You don't know where to go for it. Which one is it? Guys, I'm going to spend a lot of time on this slide because when I move past this, I want my client to understand the rest of the presentation is being conducted to help them fix this problem that they just told me they have. Now, if I'm with a client and they're kicking me to the curb, I don't need it. I've got enough. Get out of my house, Ryan. I'm going to high five them and move on, right? I'm not going to waste my time. A quick no is better than a long no. You don't want to be in a house for 2 hours to not close a deal. And if you're in a house for 2 hours and don't close it, it's because you didn't do this slide right. So number two, all right, let's say they have coverage. Maybe they're like, you know, Ryan, I've got coverage. I think it's enough. I don't know if I need more. Then I'm going to dive deeper into that, right? I'm going to say something like, well, you know, Mr. Jack, let's really think about that. We'll talk about that in a minute, right? But because you already have it, you actually may be entitled to more coverage at no extra cost, or potentially you might be able to lower what you're having to pay on that currently. So I'm going to get that fixed for you. It's simple, guys, right? And then if they're like, well, I've got money, Ryan, everything's paid for, but awesome, Mr. Jack. So we could probably agree that you need a dedicated plan. If something happens to you, you don't have to use your savings, all right, to pay it off for your kids. It's just paid for through a dedicated burial plan, right? Guys, I'm figuring out the need, right? Some agents do this very, very good, and that's why you see them closing deals every day. And if you're not doing that, if you're not closing, all right, check it out. If you're in person and you're not closing 70% of who you sit with, you're not doing this slide good enough. If you're on the phone and you're not closing 50% of who you're talking to, you're not doing this slide good enough. So I want you to keep that in mind. Don't rush this page. I'll sit on this page for 20 minutes if I have to until we can figure out what we're doing to move next. Okay. The next slide. Okay. Now this page, agents mess this up so much. All right. And it's so simple, guys. This page is so easy to complete. Don't overcomplicate it. Check it out. You do not want to wear your client out in this slide. Some agents have this health sheet, right? That looks like it's like 50 questions long. You don't have to do all of that, guys, right? You don't want to wear your client out yet because you still need to make it through the application, the medical question, all of that, right? So depending what their need was, all right, on this slide. My transition to the next slide is very easy. I'm going to say, all right, Mr. Jack, like you said, you have coverage, but you probably don't have enough. I'm going to get that fixed for you. For me to do that, I just have to ask you a few questions. And then boom, guys, I'm only going over what is on this page. I don't care about any of their other medical stuff because these main questions are going to lead me pretty close to the right direction of where I need to go. All right. So diabetes, COPD, heart attack, CHF, right? Those, the big 5, 6, whatever it is. All right. That's just all you need, guys. If you have that, it doesn't matter if your client has that condition. You just want to know when they had it, right? And if they're currently being treated for it. So don't wear your client out. This is not the page to be a doctor and spend 45 minutes, right, going through all this stuff. You just want a general idea. Okay. Big mistakes that agents make on this page is you don't verify how their income is getting paid to them, right? I did this mistake so many times as a new agent. It always came back to bite me where I wouldn't verify if they were getting paid to their bank account or if they were getting paid on a debit direct express card. And I would go through the whole presentation. I'd close a great carrier, get to the banking, and they're like, oh, yeah, here's my bank. And it's a direct express card. I have to completely redo the application. So number one mistake is not verifying how they're getting paid. Now you might think, well, that's kind of awkward to ask somebody how you're getting. It's not awkward, right? It's simple. Hey, Miss Betty, are you getting your Social Security to your bank account or on one of those little green cards? It's a simple question, guys. I've never had anybody ask me why I'm asking them that, right? If they do, you just say, well, yeah, it's simple. Some of these plans don't take that. So that's why I need to know. Okay. And then the second mistake, really only two mistakes agents make on this page, is you ask your client what prescriptions they're taking versus actually telling them to go get them for you. Okay, guys, I don't want my client telling me what they're taking. I want to see the list and I want to see the bottles so I know like what they're actually prescribed. If you ask your client, hey, Ms. Betty, what prescriptions are you taking? And they're like, oh, Ryan, I've got blood pressure. Miss Betty might be forgetting about the insulin that's sitting in her fridge. She might be forgetting about the COPD inhaler that's in her bedroom right now that she very rarely ever takes. She might be forgetting that 2 years ago, all right, she was prescribed gabapentin, but now she's not taking it, right? So you want to get in the habit of actually getting the information, okay? And it serves two purposes. You set the tone of your presentation when you do this. Miss Betty, hey, real quick, go grab your prescriptions for me. If you have the bottles, that'll work. Or if you have the printout from your doctor, that's even better. Go get that for me real quick. That's all I say, guys. I never ask the client what they're taking because they're going to not, it's not intentional. They just aren't going to tell you every single one of them. They might forget one, right? So you want to actually get that list. Because sometimes I remember being a brand new agent. This guy told me he was taking blood pressure pills, right? I was excited. I was writing like a $220 a month policy. He was super healthy. This thing was going to pay me the commission the next day. Boom, denied, right? Didn't understand why I got denied. I go another carrier, denied again. I'm like, what the heck? I look at him. I'm like, Mr. Jack, what else are you taking? He's like, well, let me just go get them for you. He comes out with a laundry basket full of prescriptions when initially he told me he was only taking one. So you got to actually get the information, guys. Otherwise, you're going to spend too long in the house. You're going to get carriers denying what you're writing. And you're just making your life harder than it actually is. Okay. So that's that slide. We're going to wrap it up here in about 5 minutes. I know it's a lot of information for you guys. And I apologize about that, but I want you to really become perfect at presenting. You can't control your client's health. You can't control how much they can afford, but you can control how good of a presenter you actually are, right? And that's what's going to make you money and keep you in this business. Types of life insurance. So check it out. Guys, I'm not really going over this. I know that might surprise some of you. The only time I'm going over this is if I think that they have a plan that's not good for them, but I don't want to tell them that. So if Mr. Jack says, Ryan, I'm paying $15 a month for $100,000 in coverage, and Mr. Jack's 70 years old, I know that that's an accidental plan, right? But Mr. Jack might think it's a whole life plan. So I'm going to say, hey, Mr. Jack, look, I know you said you already have coverage, and check it out. These are the types that most people have. And a lot of times they're told they have one, but they really have another. So term is just what it sounds like. It's good for a certain term of time, then it terminates on you. Your payments will go up or it cancels. Whole life is what it is, right? Stays the same, doesn't change. Universal life, if you get an annual statement, it's probably this kind. Most people who have this think it's whole life. And then accidental, this is where you're paying $10 for $100K and you got it from your bank, right? Those are the common types. But guys, I'm not overselling this page. I'm not talking too much about this page. I will show them the page, but check it out. Your client doesn't care. Like, they care that you know what you're talking about. They really don't care to be lectured for 40 minutes on the different kinds of coverage. So if you're going through this slide, just hit it quick, right? Don't spend too much time on it, but it's there if you need to create the doubt. You know what they told you they have is probably not what they think it is, okay? So that's that slide. The policy review. Okay, guys, you guys know how to do this. I'm not going to jump into this so much, but this is the transition to review a policy that you should be using. An amateur mistake is saying something like, hey, you know, that carrier is charging you too much money. I could get you something cheaper. That's all amateur, right? You shouldn't do that as an agent. To review the plan, it's simple. Hey, Miss Betty, I know you said you have coverage. Depending on the carrier you have, like I said, we work with most of them, and the product they put you in, you may be entitled to extra coverage at no extra cost or potentially a discount on what you're having to pay. Go get your booklet for me. That's the transition. It literally works every time, and it's true. All right, but you're not insinuating negativity onto what they have because you don't know what they have. Maybe what they have is the best thing for them, right? So use that transition. The biggest mistake agents make on this policy review is not calling the carrier that they actually have, right? I want to give Corey a big shout out. Yesterday, Corey was in a house. This guy had an AIG policy. He thought he had it for a year, right? He signed up for it a year ago. He thought it was coming out of his bank account. Corey does the call to close, right? And at this point of the call to close, Corey hadn't called AIG yet. So he calls me up, tells me what the guy has, right? Based off of what the booklet shows. And then we're going through it all. And this guy is super unhealthy and we couldn't ethically change what he had. So all Corey could do is add on. But before we did that, I said, hey, Corey, you know what? Call AIG real quick and just verify that everything is good to go with this. Make sure he's not back paid on it, right? Make sure it's not lapsed. And then we'll go from there. And Corey's like, okay, cool, Ryan. We hang up. He calls AIG. The dude's first payment never went through 11 months ago. The guys had no insurance for a year. And Corey walked out of that house with a huge application versus just a small add-on that he would have missed had he not called the company because the booklet looked good. All right. So you have to actually call the carrier, guys. His client was certain that he had insurance. He had no idea that the thing wasn't even active anymore. So that's a huge mistake you're making. All right. And then lastly, guys, all right, we'll dive into these other slides at a later time, right? But big mistake agents make, you sell off of death benefit and not budget. I don't care if Miss Betty wants $1 million. If she can't pay $1,000 a month, there's no point in talking about it. So I always sell off of budget. Miss Betty, do you think you could swing 100 to 150 bucks a month for insurance? You can. Awesome. I'm going to put on this slide 100, 125, 150. I'm going to show her the benefit that she can get within her budget. And we're rolling with that one. It's going to prevent chargebacks. And then the last slide, guys, big mistake. I make this one all the time to this day, forgetting to ask for referrals. Guys, referrals are the best lead you're ever going to get. And usually at this point, you've been in the house an hour to an hour and a half or on the phone for a long time, right? And you just forget, or you just don't even want to bring it up because you're ready to go. Your client's ready to go to bed, whatever it is, right? Spend 2 minutes and ask for this because your client may not know that you can help other people. A lot of times they don't know that. They think you're just there because they signed up for something. They don't realize, oh, dang, they could write my sister insurance too. So this is simple. I say, hey, Miss Betty, look, like I said, I'll always be your agent. All right. From this point forward, I would love to connect with your family and friends so I could be their agent too. Could you write down their names and phone numbers and I'll reach out to them? That's all it is, guys. Get the referrals. Okay. So hopefully for those of you that stayed with me on today's call, I promise you, if you do that presentation in that way, you avoid those mistakes, you're going to close more deals, you're going to make more money, but most importantly, you're going to help more people. You're going to put people in better situations who you might not have helped because you couldn't overcome their objections. They might have a horrible insurance plan that they end up keeping because you did a bad job at your presentation and you weren't able to help them. So guys, as agents, it's so important to the clients we serve for you to be a professional at your job in the presentation so you can put people in the best spot and so you can protect them, their families on the worst day of their life. And to do that, you got to practice, you got to figure out what you're doing wrong, and you got to get better at it. So hopefully this call helped you guys in your presentation. Let's go finish out this week strong. We're going to be back here on Friday. Shout out to you guys at the halfway point. You're crushing this week. Let's go get it. We'll be back here Friday.